My fiance's family humiliated me at dinner, calling me a gold digger and demanding I sign a prenup that gave me nothing. He just sat there, so I spent the next 6 months secretly liquidating every joint asset I legally could and served him the divorce papers at his own bachelor party. My name is Clara, and for 3 years I was a complete fool. I was so in love, I willingly ignored the truth. I was engaged to a man named Robert who came from a world of unbelievable wealth. I came from a world of paying bills on time. I truly thought it didn't matter. I thought our love was the bridge between those two worlds. Instead, it was the battleground. It all came crashing down on a Tuesday night. We were at a dinner at Robert's parents' house. Their home wasn't just an apartment, it was a statement, a Manhattan penthouse with windows so large you felt like you were floating above the city. The air didn't just feel clean, it felt expensive. It smelled like antique furniture and a deep contempt for everyone who wasn't part of their world. I wore my best dress, a simple black dress that had cost me 2 weeks' pay. Robert's mother, Cynthia, looked at me as if I'd tracked in mud. Her eyes scanned the fabric, noted the lack of a prestigious label, and dismissed me in under 3 seconds. "Clara, dear," she cooed with a smile that never reached her eyes. "You're always so simple. It's refreshing." Robert squeezed my hand under the table. It wasn't a gesture of support, it was a warning. It was his way of saying, "Shut up and smile, don't embarrass us." So, I smiled. I smiled through the appetizer, a tiny piece of fish that probably cost more than my rent. I smiled as Robert's father, a man with the eyes of a shark, grilled me about my job. "You're a financial analyst, you said?" he muttered, tasting his wine. "That's cute. You analyze other people's money. We have money." Robert laughed, a nervous little chuckle that chilled my blood. The dinner was a 2-hour agony. 2 hours of quiet insults, questions about my upbringing and my family, all designed to highlight one single thing. I was not one of them. Then dessert arrived, and with it, the killing blow. The family lawyer was there. I hadn't even noticed him before. He'd been sitting in the shadows like a vulture in a suit. Cynthia tapped her crystal glass. "Well," she said, her voice all sweet venom, "now that we've had our fun, let's get to business." The lawyer slid a leather-bound folder across the mahogany table. It stopped right in front of me. "What's this?" I asked, even though my stomach had already clenched into an icy knot. "A formality," Robert's father said. "A prenuptial agreement." Robert looked at me finally, but his eyes were blank. "Just to protect the family assets, babe," he whispered. "It's standard." I opened the folder. My hands were shaking slightly, and I hated myself for it. It was 15 pages of dense legal language. I scanned the page. My blood ran cold. It said I would get a one-time payment of $10,000. $10,000. That was less than the cost of the rug under my feet. It said I would be thrown out of our home within 24 hours. It said I would have zero claim to any joint bank accounts, investments, or properties we acquired during the marriage. It was a 15-page document designed to tell me one single thing. I was worthless. And it included a gag order, an NDA, that barred me from ever speaking about the Davidson family for the rest of my life. I looked up. The room was completely silent. "This," I started, my voice a whisper. "This is an insult." Cynthia laughed, a sharp, ugly little sound. "Oh dear, don't be so dramatic. We're just protecting our son from, well, you know." "From what?" I asked, staring her down. "From opportunists," she said. "From little social climbers. From gold diggers who see our Robert as a lottery ticket." Gold digger. The word just hung there in the expensive air. All eyes were on me, but my eyes were only on Robert, the man I loved, the man who had asked me to build a life with him. I was waiting. I was waiting for him to stand up, to slam his fists on the table to defend me. Waiting for him to say, "How dare you speak to the woman I love like that?" He just sat there. He stared at his plate of panna cotta. The lawyer pushed a gold fountain pen toward me. "If you'll sign Clara." I looked at Robert, pleading with my eyes. "Robert, aren't you going to say anything?" He looked up. The coldness in his eyes broke my heart in a way that contract never could. He took a deep breath and said the words that sealed his fate and lit my fire. Clara, just sign it. It's just a formality. Just a formality. In that single instant, the love I felt for him evaporated. It didn't fade, it didn't wither. It was incinerated. In its place, something cold, hard, and sharp was left. It was my spine straightening. It was my resolve hardening. I looked at Cynthia. I looked at Robert's father. I looked at the vulture. I smiled. Then I picked up the gold pen. A sweet, broken little smile. I even managed to squeeze a single tear down my cheek. "You're right, Robert. You're right," I whispered, playing the part of the defeated fiancé. "If this is what it takes to prove I love you, I'll do it." I signed every single page. I initialed where they told me to. Cynthia smiled triumphant. Robert's father nodded satisfied. Robert let out a sigh of relief, already thinking about his dessert again. They had won. They thought they had put me in my place. They thought they had bought my submission for $10,000. They thought I was a fool. They had no idea what they had just done. My revenge wouldn't be emotional. It would be quiet. It would be methodical. And it would be total. In the cab ride home, Robert held my hand. "I'm proud of you, Clara," he said. "You handled that with real class. I knew you'd understand." I leaned my head on his shoulder. "Of course, my love. Anything for the family, right?" He didn't notice the ice in my voice. He didn't notice my breathing was perfectly even, that the tears were gone. He was too busy congratulating himself on dodging a bullet. He didn't know he'd just handed me the gun. When we got back to our apartment, the one the prenup said I'd have to leave in 24 hours, I felt like a stranger. I looked at the designer sofa we'd picked out. I looked at the art we'd bought in Mexico. And I started taking a mental inventory. The next morning I called in sick to work. I said I had a terrible headache. The truth was my mind had never been clearer. My first move wasn't to cry, it was to act. By 9 a.m. I was sitting in the office of Sarah Jensen. Sarah wasn't a family lawyer. She was a divorce lawyer. And not just any divorce lawyer. She was a shark. She was the kind of lawyer people like the Davidsons hired to make problems disappear. I paid her in cash from an emergency fund I'd kept hidden from Robert for years. I told her the whole story. I showed her my copy of the prenup. Sarah listened stone-faced. Then she took the document and read it in less than 5 minutes. When she was done, she smiled. It was not a kind smile. "Well, Clara," she said, leaning back, "they are arrogant idiots." "I thought it was ironclad," I said. "Oh, it is," she confirmed. "Or rather, it will be. But there's one critical detail their arrogance made them overlook." She pointed to a date. "This agreement takes effect after you sign the marriage certificate. Until that moment, you are simply an unmarried couple living in cohabitation. And more importantly," she pointed to the house deed I'd brought, "you are joint owners. You have joint bank accounts. Under the laws of this state, until that wedding day, everything joint is 50-50. I stared at her. So, she said, her smile widening, "you have 6 months. 6 months until the wedding. We just need to make sure that by the time that day comes, there's nothing left for them to protect. 6 months. 180 days to dismantle a life. My plan had to be flawless. I had to become the most loving, supportive, and excited fiancé that ever existed. I had to plan a wedding with a brilliant smile, while with my other hand, I liquidated every single penny I could legally touch. My performance began that night. I made Robert's favorite dinner. I talked to him about color swatches for the flowers. He was so relieved by my maturity over the prenup that he became careless. And careless men make mistakes. The first step was the money. Robert and I had a joint checking account for household expenses. It was also the account where he received his massive quarterly bonuses. I waited. I watched the account like a hawk. On the 15th of the month, his bonus hit. An obscene amount. I waited 48 hours. Then, at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, I made the transfer. I took exactly 50%. Not a penny more, not a penny less. I moved it to my new private bank account, opened at a different bank, with statements sent to a P.O. box I'd rented. The next morning, Robert checked the balance. I heard him curse from the shower. "Clara, babe, something's wrong with the account." I walked into the bathroom, wrapped in a towel, the picture of innocence. "What is it, honey?" "Half my bonus is gone." I feigned looking. I gasped. "Oh my God, Robert, that's terrible. But wait, look at this transaction, transfer to personal investment account." I did that. He stared at me. You. What? Sweetie, I said, touching his arm. After that dinner with your parents, I get it. You're all right. I don't know anything about money. I've been so silly. So I decided to learn. I opened my own little investment account to practice. I only took my half. That's legal, right? I wanted to surprise you when I made my first profit. My performance was perfect. The combination of feigned stupidity and flattery worked. He was annoyed, but also proud. His silly little fiancé was trying to play the market. All right, Clara, he said patronizingly. Just don't lose it all, and next time tell me. I will, honey, I said. I promise. Next came the car. Robert loved his sports car, a ridiculously expensive and impractical convertible. We had bought it together, and though his down payment was larger, my name was on the title right alongside his. Honey, I said one Saturday morning, I was thinking, with the wedding and maybe kids someday, isn't this car a little small? He looked at me like I had just insulted his mother. I just mean, I continued, maybe we should look at an SUV, something safe, something for the family. The word family was my bait. His own vanity was the fish. You're just looking right? He asked, suspicious. Of course, just pricing things out. I put a listing online just to see what we could get for it. Just curious. 3 days later, I had a buyer, a collector paying cash. Robert, it's amazing. They're offering us almost list price. Robert was torn. He loved the car, but he loved the idea of bragging to his friends that he was buying a luxury family SUV even more. We sold the car. The check was made out to both of us. We deposited it in the joint account, and that night at 3 a.m. exactly 50% of it vanished. It went to join Robert's bonus in my growing Get the Hell Out fund. The next few months were a blur of fake smiles and secret actions. I handled the big one last. The apartment. This was the crown jewel. Our apartment was worth $3 million, and it was jointly owned. I couldn't sell it without his signature, but as my shark Sarah had explained, I didn't have to. I just had to prepare the storm. While I was pretending to pick out wedding invitations with Cynthia, an experience I can only describe as an ivory-colored hell, I was spending my lunch breaks with a real estate appraiser, I had the apartment secretly appraised. I got a full market analysis. Then Sarah drafted the paperwork for a forced partition sale. It's a legal filing that means if one co-owner wants to sell and the other doesn't, a judge can order the sale and split the proceeds. I didn't file the papers. I just kept them ready. They were my nuclear option. All the while, the wedding planning was in full swing. I was the perfect bride. I nodded, I smiled, I agreed. Cynthia was thrilled. She had successfully broken the gold digger. Robert was relaxed because I was so easygoing. They were so busy celebrating their victory they didn't see the ship sinking. It was 2 weeks before the wedding. The excitement was palpable, and so was Robert's arrogance. He was planning his bachelor party. An epic weekend, 3 days in Las Vegas at a hotel suite that cost more than my car. All his arrogant, spoiled friends would be there. It's going to be legendary, Clara, he said, packing his bag. Sorry you can't come. Oh, honey, I'm so happy for you, I said, helping him fold a ridiculous shirt. You deserve it. Have fun for both of us. He kissed me. You're the best. When I get back, we'll be almost married. I can't wait, I replied, and I truly meant it. He left on a Friday morning. My flight was booked for Saturday afternoon. The word family was my bait. His own vanity was the fish. You're just looking right? He asked, suspicious. Of course, just pricing things out. I put a listing online just to see what we could get for it. Just curious. 3 days later, I had a buyer, a collector paying cash. Robert, it's amazing. They're offering us almost list price. Robert was torn. He loved the car, but he loved the idea of bragging to his friends that he was buying a luxury family SUV even more. We sold the car. The check was made out to both of us. We deposited it in the joint account, and that night at 3 a.m. exactly 50% of it vanished. It went to join Robert's bonus in my growing Get the Hell Out fund. The next few months were a blur of fake smiles and secret actions. I handled the big one last. The apartment. This was the crown jewel. Our apartment was worth $3 million, and it was jointly owned. I couldn't sell it without his signature, But as my shark Sarah had explained, I didn't have to. I just had to prepare the storm. While I was pretending to pick out wedding invitations with Cynthia, an experience I can only describe as an ivory-colored hell, I was spending my lunch breaks with a real estate appraiser. I had the apartment secretly appraised. I got a full market analysis. Then Sarah drafted the paperwork for a forced partition sale. It's a legal filing that means if one co-owner wants to sell and the other doesn't, a judge can order the sale and split the proceeds. I didn't file the papers. I just kept them ready. They were my nuclear option. All the while, the wedding planning was in full swing. I was the perfect bride. I nodded, I smiled, I agreed. Cynthia was thrilled. She had successfully broken the gold digger. Robert was relaxed because I was so easygoing. They were so busy celebrating their victory they didn't see the ship sinking. It was 2 weeks before the wedding. The excitement was palpable. And so was Robert's arrogance. He was planning his bachelor party. An epic weekend, 3 days in Las Vegas at a hotel suite that cost more than my car. All his arrogant, spoiled friends would be there. "It's going to be legendary, Clara," he said, packing his bag. "Sorry you can't come." "Oh, honey, I'm so happy for you," I said, helping him fold a ridiculous shirt. "You deserve it. Have fun for both of us." He kissed me. "You're the best. When I get back, we'll be almost married." "I can't wait," I replied. And I truly meant it. He left on a Friday morning. My flight was booked for Saturday afternoon. As you can imagine, the Davidson family did not go quietly. The wedding was canceled in a storm of public and very expensive embarrassment, but their humiliation quickly turned to rage. They tried to destroy me. The first call came from their shark lawyer. He accused me of fraud, theft, emotional manipulation, everything you can think of. He threatened to tie me up in court until I was bankrupt. I just forwarded his number to Sarah, my lawyer. The lawsuit was brutal. They tried to argue I had undue influence over Robert, that I had tricked him. They tried to paint me as a manipulative mastermind. The deposition was the best part. I wish I could have sold tickets. Cynthia sat across from me, her face a mask of pure hatred. Their lawyer was trying to twist my words. He said, "So, Miss Clara, you admit you began planning to take this money immediately after the dinner?" I smiled. "No. I admit I began planning to protect myself after your clients called me a gold digger and had me sign a contract that treated me like garbage. I simply decided to take them at their word." Sarah was incredible. She systematically dismantled their entire case. She presented the prenup they wrote as Exhibit A. She asked Robert's father on the stand, "Mr. Davidson, is it your position that my client is a worthless, naive gold digger?" He sneered and said, "Yes." Sarah smiled. "Then is it also your position that this same naive woman was simultaneously a financial genius, capable of outmaneuvering your entire legal team and your son for 6 months? You can't have it both ways. Which is it? Is she an idiot or a genius?" Their lawyer tried to object, but the room was silent. The judge, seeing the prenup and the bank records, threw out their case before it even went to trial. He called it frivolous and a complete waste of the court's time. And the best part? He ordered them to pay my legal fees. Sarah's bill was significant. It was the perfect final insult. The apartment was sold at auction, exactly as Sarah had planned. My half was wired to my account the same day. What about Robert? After the lawsuit failed, the silence was deafening. I thought I was free. Then, about a month later, I got a text. From him, it just said, "Are you happy now? You ruined me. My parents won't even trust me with my own allowance." I looked at that text for a long time. I thought about sending him a picture of my new bank balance. I thought about reminding him that he was the one who sat in silence. I thought about 1,000 cutting replies. Instead, I just typed one word: "Yes." Then I blocked his number. I blocked his entire family. I heard through the grapevine that he's living in his old childhood bedroom. The king was now just a prince locked in his tower, with Cynthia holding the keys. And me? I didn't just take a vacation. I took my half of the money I earned, and I left New York. I started my own financial consulting firm. I took that label, financial analyst, that his father spat at me, and I turned it into a weapon, and then into a shield. I now help other people, mostly other women, get financial independence. I teach them how to spot the Roberts of the world and how to build their own get the hell out fund. So, yes, I'm writing this from a balcony. It's not in Manhattan. The air doesn't smell like old money and contempt. It smells like salt and the ocean. It smells like freedom. Signing that paper wasn't a defeat. It was the first step in my real financial plan. It showed me the truth. And the truth, it turns out, isn't just liberating, it's profitable. Thank you for listening to this story. If you enjoy this kind of content and want to hear more, subscribe and turn on all notifications. A new story will be waiting for you.